Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Nesbitt and I decided to do a quick Google presentation on my slides for communication. So start off by talking about my scholarly journal. I read an article dealing with the importance of communication in a school by Graham Clay in 2005, and it talks a lot about the challenges of building a community between home and school. And this is something that kind of hit home more for me because it talked about how teachers lack the skills to be effectively communicate with parents, and that time factor is a huge issue with all the constraints and all the different ways that we are pulled in different directions throughout the day and during the week. It's very hard to try to contact every student's parents, especially when you have like 165 students, which I did this last year. So building a community was talked a lot about in this article, and there's different ways that you can build that community, excuse me, through one-way or two-way communication. I really liked this. Um, really liked the way that it talked about the one way, which is obviously going to be more one-sided, where the one party initiates communication, which is usually going to be the teacher. Okay, so if you send home a newsletter or home to school notebook, report cards, which we still do, but I think it's super important that we keep this one-way communication because we initiate it, which gets parents to understand that yes, we care and yes, we're reaching out to them on their child and how they're doing in our classroom. Now, two-way communication is going to be more dialogue between two parties. So in this article, it talked about the dialogue between parents and teachers. Obviously, this is in the form, some examples were phone calls, home visits, parent-teacher conferences, open houses, and school-based activities. The one way that I definitely use the most is phone calls. I call parents often. I try not to always have it be negative experiences, but unfortunately, more often than not, it is because there's an issue in the classroom or an issue with the student during a class. But having that interactive dialogue is super important because it not only builds a form of trust between parents and teachers, but again, that sense of community is going to be obtained. So I really enjoyed this article. I thought it had a lot of good information on communication, and building a community is just kind of a cool way to look at it since school is such a community-based system, and having parents involved in that community is super important. Some different benefits of incorporating communication that I just have kind of thought about after reading some articles and doing some research, but feedback is so huge. By communicating with parents, you can give them feedback on their child. With communicating, um, like the teacher communicating with their students in class, you can achieve better personal growth from the students because they see that you care and that you're taking the time to really give them feedback on maybe a project or an assignment, and having that open communication line between either the parent or teacher or the teacher and student is huge for students to grow in the classroom. Um, Share what's going on in the classroom, upcoming assignments, events. This would be more towards the parents. Like I have a classroom website that I created and hopes that parents will look at that and we can build a sense of communication so they know what's going on in my room, and they also know how to contact me. They know when a test is or when a big project is doing or just what we're doing day to day. So there's no questions on what they're learning about. They can go to that website and figure it out and ask their, it encourages communication at home because they can ask their child about what they're doing in my class and they know what's happening. Number three, establishing a community. So obviously that relates to the article that I read and summarized. Um, I just, I really think that is so huge again to have that community with both teachers and students, and then teachers and parents as well. And then number four, student self-esteem. When you take initiative to show that you are communicating with what they're doing, not only in your room or their performance, they're going to want to do better, and they are going to want to achieve greater success in and out of the classroom. So huge importance to have that communication with your students and parents both. Some tools that I explored, email's huge. We email so much in our district, and I would say that is the number one form of communication. I like to send out emails very often to parents. Maybe it's if their student is missing an assignment, um, or they're um, having late work, or whatever the case may be. But have it be both positive and negative. And I struggle at this, I have to admit, because I don't have time to sit and shoot out multiple emails every day because, again, the time factor. But I try to do a good job on sending some positive emails along with emails, obviously, when you have issues. But I'm going to try to do a better job at that this fall, with communicating with parents on positives and not just the negatives. Number two, Facebook. We have teams at the school that I teach at, and we use Facebook as a way of communication, um, to show pictures, to show projects, assignments, just things that we're doing and going around the school. I need to do a better job at uploading my own different activities and pictures in my room and things that we're doing on this, just because I do have my classroom that I talked about. I have a Weebly website, but it is a really cool way. Facebook kind of brings all of the teachers that are on the team, so the parent can see what's going on in every single room and not just one room. So that's something that another goal that I want to be better at for this fall. And then number three, Google Hangouts. We have actually done conferences with parents on Google Hangouts before. Say parents are divorced and one parent lives in another state, so we would go on and do a conference with them. But again, another way to communicate with parents that maybe can't get to the school or they're unavailable to meet face to face. And then the last thing, lesson ideas that encourage communication. Number one, I have circles, class discussions with various topics. So getting students together to talk. Kind of goes with number four, collaborate. Have them talk to each other. Do classroom debates, number two, with about current issues. I teach global studies, so we read a lot of articles and talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on in our city, what's going on in our community, and then talk about it, debate about it. What do we agree with? What do we not agree with? It gets students talking, which is so important because they need that peer interaction. Number three, Socratic Seminar. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but it's such a cool tool that it makes everyone participate and all students have to actively listen and then engage in the communication while the Socratic Seminar is going on. So a really cool tool to use to get students, like I said, not only talking, but listening to each other as well, which is a huge center of communication, is the listening. So just mainly getting students to work together, talk to each other, and come up with ideas. And then we obviously know we all don't agree on things, so the debates is super cool too to incorporate to get them to understand different points of view. So those are some things that I am going to try to do more of in my room this year and strive to make goals of getting my students to collaborate in better forms and really hit it hard on not only the listening technique, but the talking and the sharing of ideas and accepting everyone's ideas. So all right, thank you so much, and I appreciate you listening to me talk for this long, but just some ideas that I came up with through the communication. Thanks, guys.